friends, welcome to Leigh Brown Storytime. I was asked to share with y'all about my experience as a new realtor when I got into the business 19 years ago. Now, what you should know is that when I first got in, I felt lost and at a dead end in my professional life at the ripe young age of 21 when that happened, because I was coming out of a job in corporate sales for Husqvarna where I sold premium chainsaws, lawnmowers, and weed trimmers. And no, they are not surpassed by any other brand, truly the best. And before that, I had worked as a stockbroker for Prudential Securities. And do y'all remember Prudential Securities? Yeah, they're gone now. And before that, I had worked as a bartender and bar manager at Chili's Grill and Bar. And if you are from the Charlotte and Huntersville area, you should know I was working at the one off of exit 25 there at Sanford Road and 77 when that was the first thing on that exit before Birkdale even existed. Now, if you're not from this area, you just totally have no reference point for what I said, but people from around here, y'all remember this area has changed a lot inside of 2 decades, and frankly, so has real estate. And when I first got in, I didn't know what I was doing. I had a license because my daddy had asked me to get my license previously so that I would have it in my back pocket, and I was glad that he did. So the first thing I'll tell y'all is, take away from my story, get a license even if you think you never want one, because one day you may need to fall back on it. And I had just moved back to Charlotte from living in Texas, and so I was going to have to do whatever I had to do to survive. Now, it was just me at the time. I wasn't providing for anybody, and that was a blessing from a timing standpoint. But as somebody who doesn't like to live a debt-full life, is that a word? I want to be a debt-free life, so I guess debt-full would be the opposite of that. And so I had to figure this out right quick. And so for me to survive in real estate, I followed exactly what my daddy said to do. Now, you should know he got his real estate license in 1978. And so as a very established realtor, and actually almost the first realtor in the Charlotte area to have his own website, my daddy was cutting edge. He also was one of the very first to have a team in the Charlotte market. That's how crazy things have changed. Well, I joined him as a buyer agent on his team. But my daddy had a very interesting philosophy about this, and it's opposite of how many realtors act, which is that I should not be allowed to advise or consult anyone until I had lived in his hip pocket for at least 90 days. Now, what that means is I went with him on every appointment, every listing appointment, every buyer showing. I sat beside him in the office and in negotiations. I learned how to deliver a contract behind the dumpster at the Hardee's on Church Street in Concord. Learned all these things because my dad believes that real estate should involve an apprenticeship period and a strict mentor relationship so that we are not putting green realtors out there into the public to mess up somebody's transaction. It's very critical to think about. So was it financially challenging for me to not make any money for 90 days? Yes, but what I learned allowed me to scale my business pretty quickly. And so soon after that, he allowed me to work with my first buyer client. They're still friends of mine today. And my first seller ever, which that house is now an investment property for mama and daddy. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it was my first listing. It's just how things happen to work out. But I look back into my career, and I don't know that I would have been an effective realtor for those first clients if I had not had an amazing mentor in my dad. Now, you may not have a dad in real estate or a mom in real estate. Where do you find that person who will put you in their hip pocket for 90 days? Go to a team leader that has a heart for education and a heart for sharing their own skills, because the best leaders in real estate will tell you everything they know, knowing that you're going to take it and put it into action and then add your own tweaks to make it even better, which means your job at that point becomes to do what I do now and take what daddy gave me and that I made better and make it where I can give it to y'all. And then when y'all make it better and bring it back to me, well, that just makes my heart glad, because then I can learn from you just as you're learning from me today. So I'll tell you that in that first year, I became rather successful and I did make some decent money. In fact, what happened at the end of that first year was I had to pay the IRS $19,000 in taxes because I didn't pay my quarterlies. As a new realtor, my parents also believed I should learn some lessons the hard way, and I love how they parented me, and I do my best to emulate them. am, because when I took that bill to my daddy, I was probably as white as a sheet. Let me pick up a piece of paper. I was just as white as that. And I said, Daddy, I owe the IRS $19,000. What am I going to do? And he said, congratulations. That means you had a good year in real estate, because frankly, that's how we celebrate things like that in real estate. Oh, you did so well. You owe money. Good job. Well, I had to call the IRS and do what most honorable people do who are not elected officials, who hide their tax returns and don't pay their taxes, or even certain commentators on certain mainstream media channels. But I created a payment plan with the IRS and I paid it off. And was it hard? Yes. And was it painful? Yes. And was it a lesson I've had to learn twice? No, because some lessons you learn at the one time and you're done with it. And so that was how my first year went. If there's anything I can do to help you make your first year better, that's what I do over here with training. And I've also got my online university called Leigh Brown University, which will tell you all the things that most brokerage training programs intend to tell you but forget. Sign up and get some support, because you don't have to do real estate alone. I'm here, others are here, and let's all get better together.